Welcome back to the Hoodni's Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 2, where we go over the top 24 picks in a draft for a half PPR standard 6-point scoring league. Stay tuned and listen in to hear how we rank those players. So I'm going to share this list here.
Yeah,
And we
you
have,
see that list?
see if we can zoom out a little bit and see if we can get the top 24 in here. That's fine. We have Jalen Hurts and Devo. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. I think we all agree Christian McCaffrey's number one, right?
Yes, you have to go McCaffrey number one, my opinion.
Okay.
But you never know. That dude might get overworked and might deal with some injuries because you know how Kyle Shanahan is just McCaffrey, McCaffrey, McCaffrey. But you
Isn't there some stat about how there's never been, or in the last like however many years with Kyle Shanahan, that the RB has never been 100% healthy or has always gotten some injury
Yeah,
or
but
something
that
like
had
that?
stopped last year because C-Mac was healthy.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So,
oh
but
no,
historically, he's been he runs his RBs into the ground and they get injured.
yeah, but
Um,
but you
but
you got to get
I
McCaffrey
I
because you
mean,
don't want
yeah,
your
you're not gonna not get McCaffrey. Um, no, number two, who do you guys put there? I don't know if I like CeeDee Lamb there.
um. I'm 100% taking CeeDee Lamb. 100%.
Really?
Yeah, I really think that towards the end of the year, he was having one of the greatest kind of just or not one of the greatest, but like a really great fantasy career. Like with his stats, he was getting targeted, getting like double digit receptions, over 100 receiving yards. Like he was killing it the last few games of fantasy. So I personally think that will for sure carry on um for the season.
Okay. MFB, do you agree?
Um, I mean, CeeDee Lamb's obviously great. He had a crazy second half season last year, but I'm probably taking Reek at
I
that
think I
spot.
agree. I think I would take
I'm taking
Tyreek over
Reek at
CeeDee
that
Lamb. I
spot.
wish I had a pen. I don't have a pen to like actually edit this, so next time I'll come more prepared. But I think I put Tyreek Hill over CeeDee Lamb in this situation.
And honestly, that's where I disagree, just because I personally think that Tyreek is going to be a slight down year for him. Like I feel like the weapons that the Miami Dolphins have on offense, I really think that Tyreek obviously he's going to get touches and targets and all that great stuff, but I feel like the production is going to be a
Mhm.
little less with everyone that they got pretty much over there.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a fair assessment. I will
right.
say, so moving ahead to like Jamar Chase here, right?
Yeah.
Since we have three receivers, I have it as Reek, CD, and Chase. I don't know if you guys have it different.
I think I would put Jamar Chase over CeeDee Lamb. I'm not gonna lie to you. And
Mhm.
I do think that it's because he had a great rookie season, uh, and then last year we had Joe Burrow injured for the whole. I mean, he had something happen in training camp, and they said he was okay. I think it was his calf or something strained, and so everyone was saying that, oh, he's fine, he's gonna play, and he played, and then they found out, oh no, he's not fine, and then he injured himself. He got even more injured, and then it became, okay, you know what? He's just out for the season. We're not gonna, take chances with this guy. But I think Jamar Chase last year in a half PPR league had, I think he had a 50 fantasy point game one
Mhm.
week,
I think
I think.
he had a 44 fantasy point game.
44, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean I mean that's just kind of like a flash of what he can do. Um, and I know you have T Higgins there, but I really think that Jamar Chase is, far ahead, the best like wide receiver, obviously in that group. I don't think that I think the Cowboys are going to cowboy. Like it's just been a recurring theme every year. The Cowboys just somehow figure out a way to just not be good, like just somehow, some way. And so I do think that as good as CeeDee Lamb is, I don't. I feel like you will get let down at one point or another in the season. Tyreek, I have to put him above CD and even above Jamar Chase, just because on any given week he can get you, 40 fantasy points or 30 to 40 fantasy points in a half PPR with 6 point scoring. And so I would I put Tyreek second, and then Jamar, and then T Lamb.
So
Uh,
if if you want the first crazy take of the podcast, um,
sure.
I personally think that Tyreek Hill will not finish top 7 in the fantasy this year. I personally think there are 7 better people, or sorry, 7 better dudes that will finish in fantasy over Tyreek Hill. I I have Tyreek as the eighth receiver. I have Amon Ra over him. I have AJ. I have Puka, and I have Garrett Wilson over him. Obviously with CD, Chase, and Jefferson.
Okay, so you're
I
putting
mhm.
you said you have Puka over Tyreek Hill?
I have Puka over Tyreek Hill fantasy wise.
Yeah,
I
yeah, we're talking fantasy, yeah. But
yeah.
okay,
So
that's
like
you put Garrett
That's a
Wilson over him
crazy
too?
take,
That's
but
yeah.
as crazy as it may sound, Aaron Rodgers coming back. Aaron Rodgers looking good right now in practice right now. I think that Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers connection will be crazy. They upgraded their O line significantly. Rodgers should be sacked maybe once or twice a game. Nothing more realistically, unless you're going up against a crazy D line. Um, I don't know. You got Justin Jefferson in Minnesota with either JJ McCarthy, Sam Darnold, all system both are system quarterbacks. So the head coach obviously needs to get the ball to the guy that they paid, um, the guy that they paid 4 year, 140 million. Um,
Right.
Amon Ra year 4, he needs to he will perform. AJ Brown got paid. Yeah, I personally think Tyreek Hill just is gonna have a slight down year. I'm not a fan of Tyreek
I
Hill in the first round.
I could see Jamar Chase having a better year than Tyreek. I could see CD having a better year than Tyreek. Justin Jefferson, Amon Ra, but Tyreek could be five at the lowest for me. That I don't
Mm.
see him being less than top five. That's just me, MFB. I don't know if you have anything to say about that.
I mean, I'm looking at the numbers and I can't. I don't know.
It's
I
it's
understand that at the end of the season, like, okay, you know what? Let's give some quick numbers. At the end of the season, 18 weeks. CD
hmm
had 335. Tariq had 316. Right? So yeah,
Yeah,
he gapped him by about 20 points. CD did. Right?
hmm
yeah,
hmm
Third place is Amon Ra, where Reek gapped him by like 36 points. No, sorry, 46 points.
hmm
Right?
hmm
Which is a wide margin, bro. That's like it takes some players 2 to 3 weeks to reach that, right?
yeah.
Now, if I just look at weeks 1 through 14, right? Regular season, get you into fantasy playoffs.
Right.
Tyreek gapped CD by about 35 points, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's like a
Tyreek
wide
kind of
margin,
fell
right?
off.
That's why
Right.
I believe that Reek is the top for me in this.
And I also want to say, like, we don't even, I mean, it sounds like CeeDee Lamb popped off the last 3 weeks of fantasy, or the last 4 weeks, I should say, and then Tyreek kind of fell off. And that may have had to do with just opponents, you know what I mean, better matchups. So that's where you have to look into who has better matchups for the end of season when you're making trades and things like that. If you're trying, or if you're planning on being in playoffs, do you need to win now or do you need to win later? So those are things to
True.
consider.
I
Um,
honestly, I'm just the reason why I'm personally going Reek out of the top 7 is just all of gut feeling. I'm a guy that takes a lot of risks, so I truly don't think I really think just he has a down year. I don't think he'll be trash. I think he'll be very mediocre. I feel like he'll be a low tier 2 kind of receiver.
Low tier two is crazy, but for Tyreek Hill, that's crazy. I would,
Just
I
saying.
mean, but side note, you do need to take risks in fantasy if you want to win, especially if you're in a competitive league. If you're in a league with like your, coworkers and they don't know that much about football, and it's your league, you're starting it for the company, you just want to get an easy trophy, then yeah, sure, you can play it safe and go with the safe options. But if you're in a competitive league with a lot of people that really know their stuff, you're gonna need to take risks, and you're gonna need to have hot takes, because I mean, Puka last year was undrafted in most leagues, and he's now the number 11 rated player, like in the draft, which is crazy to go like that. That's such a difference in 1 year. So um, we can continue. Let's try to get through these.
Yeah, yeah.
I think where do you guys put Bijan? Like in because these are mostly receivers. You have well, let's talk
Yeah.
about RBs. You got
So
Bijan, you got Brees, you got Jonathan
yeah.
Taylor,
So
Jameer Gibbs.
the interesting thing here is on Yahoo, right? It has Brees like I don't know, one or two spots ahead of Bijan, right?
Right, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So
both
these
are
rankings are a little
both are. I mean, they're a little different, but that's fine.
yeah,
I still think that this is like fine to look at.
yeah,
Um, both RBs are insane menaces, right?
yep,
Like
yep.
we
Hmm.
have Brees what he did last year, I think after an ACL, right? Or some crazy
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
stuff.
just
yeah,
came
that's
back from
crazy.
ACL. Yeah,
Yeah,
Props
yeah,
you
to
know.
him, man.
Um, so and Bijan is just a monster, right? He just
yeah.
got
And
rid of Arthur Smith,
we have
so
to remember,
he's
yeah,
back
we
up
have to
here.
remember they got rid of that whole coaching staff, right?
Yep.
In
Uh, oh, yeah,
Atlanta, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So sorry, continue, MFB.
No, I'm just saying like, they're both menaces, right? But
Yeah.
actually interesting enough, like speaking to the coaching staff, right? Is so they got who do they get? Oh, their offensive coordinator, right? This dude Zach Robinson, right? Who so kind of interesting is he hasn't called plays at the NFL level, right? Um,
Yeah, but that's crazy.
but yeah, I mean, but
I
like
mean, that's something to think about, right? Like,
yeah,
and is that going to be problematic? Is that going to cause? I don't have the numbers
in
for.
regards to like Bijan, right?
Yeah,
Like the Falcons have finished bottom five in pass rate the past two seasons.
right.
Um, Now they got Kirk Cousins now, right?
They got
So
Big
like,
Kirko.
And they got
yeah,
Drake London, who I think is right here, number 22. So he's a top, second round pick in fantasy, and he had some really solid games with who was it, Mariota last year, or it was not Mariota, sorry, it was what was his name, Riddler? What was his name?
Ritter,
Oh,
Desmond Ritter.
Ritter, Desmond
Ritter.
Ritter,
Yeah, yeah.
Desmond Ritter, yeah, yeah. So I mean he's putting up solid numbers with Desmond Ritter. Now you got Kirk Cousins, so I mean that they're definitely going to be throwing the ball more.
And
Um,
and what you got? They paid Kirk Cousins too. They paid him fat,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they gave him
fat.
a big contract.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. So
huge contract.
they're sticking with him. That he's their guy right now, and for the next few years. Um. So yeah, I don't know what that does in terms of Bijan. Do you guys have Bijan as number one RB or no?
Finishing number one RB.
Drafting. Who are you drafting first?
Um,
It is
between
about who
Bijan and
finishes the
Brees, right?
season,
Is
but
that what you're asking?
I mean let's throw in Jonathan Taylor, Jameer Gibbs, and Saquon. Like let's make it the top five. Where do you guys place these guys?
so obviously McCaffrey, you get the number one overall pick. You're going McCaffrey. Done deal.
After McCaffrey, yeah, we're talking about after McCaffrey.
I think like if I
Yeah.
could put it in tiers, right? Tier zero, C-Mac, okay?
Right.
Tier one is between Brees and Bijan, right?
Okay.
Um, Man, for me, it's tough, right? It's very
Right.
tough because I love both of these guys, right? Like I took Brees 2 years ago when he was a rookie,
Right.
because I knew he was going to be a menace. It just sucked
Yep.
that he got injured.
Yep.
And Bijan, like everybody already knew he was going to be like insane, bro. If you watch clips of this guy,
He was doing
he's
crazy
just a
things even
monster,
last
right?
year.
I think last year he was going in the like the sixth, right? The sixth pick first round, right?
Yep.
Hmm.
Maybe earlier, right? So he's in the
Yeah.
same spot, right? That's how much of a monster he is.
Right.
And then as far as the next three, right? Taylor, Gibbs, and Saquon.
Yep.
Gibbs is also really good, but he shares with Montgomery, and Montgomery is doing
That's
work.
true. Yeah, and
Montgomery being
they're
Yeah.
really
Brees,
using him.
right?
They're not just trying to, transition right away. They're letting Montgomery take a lot
You
of the
know,
goal line hits and goal line touches.
True.
um, Saquon is like obviously
He's in
athletic
Philly
beast,
now.
like Brees came back from injury,
Yep.
did work, on a sick offense, right?
Right.
Is he gonna get vultured by tush push? We don't know,
Right.
Yeah. True.
you know. Um, Taylor, I gotta brush up on what Indianapolis is doing, but I mean it's like a safe bet, you know what I mean? Like as long as he didn't go through all the bullshit that happened last year with the
I
I forgot
mean,
what even happened, but something about some contracts, right?
yeah, the contract
Yeah.
negotiations. I think he wanted to get paid more money, and they like didn't want to pay him and things like that. I would say about Jonathan Taylor is that Anthony Richardson is fully healthy now. He had like what was it, a shoulder injury last year. He was out for the season.
Yeah, yeah.
But and Anthony Richardson was doing a lot of rushing himself, a lot of rushing touchdowns too. Now, that doesn't mean that Jonathan Taylor won't get any rushing touchdowns or he's going to get, like a lot less, but he will lose some touchdowns. Even Saquon, I'm a little bit nervous to take him just because of the fact that the tush push, like you mentioned, for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts every time, as soon as they're on the one or even close, like they're on the 2 yard line, 3 yard line, it's automatically tush push and just push everyone in. So that kind of makes him a riskier pick.
Yeah,
It's
but the thing with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, you have like he's coming off of a fresh surgery. I feel like the coach is going to understand that like he's not going to like rush him in. You know what I mean? Like if he needs to get a few yards, he's not going to just QB up the gut and just to get those few yards. I feel like he's going to be a little bit more
yeah,
conservative. So I
right.
think JT will still get the work that he like will usually get. You
Okay.
know?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good take. I like that.
Mhm.
Um, so you would take Jonathan Taylor over Jahmyr Gibbs, and
Um,
then
I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over Jameer Gibbs. Yeah.
we take Saquon over Jahmyr Gibbs, or we take Jahmyr Gibbs over Saquon.
I'm taking Jameer Gibbs over Saquon.
Okay. Even though he's sharing with Montgomery.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a reason why they drafted him with their first round pick last year.
Yeah.
You obviously saw it towards the end of the season and in the playoffs. Um, I think Gibbs is gonna be the guy in Detroit, even though Monty will have touches. I think that it'll fade away, and I feel like Gibbs gets like around like 80% of the workload.
Right. Okay. And what about Travis Etienne? Do you put him above any of these guys up here? These three: Jonathan Taylor, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon, or do you put him down here where he is?
I'm keeping him where he's at. I feel like he's not. I don't think he's a. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have him better than JT
I mean,
Jameer
he had a
Gibbs.
lot of good games last year. He was someone I faded last year, and I, paid the price because he was just
That's
going
hella funny
crazy.
because I faded him too last year. Uh,
Yeah, it was a
Obviously
terrible decision.
regrettably, but
Well, because I feel like the where he's at though, he had a lot of injuries with like Christian Kirk. You had a lot of injuries with who's the other receiver?
Ridley at the time.
No, no, no.
Ridley.
Yeah, yeah,
Like Ridley popped off that first game, and then all of a sudden that dude didn't like pretty much wasn't living up to
yeah,
the standard. So I feel like ETN just had to step up. But with Kirk back,
sure.
them paying Trevor Lawrence, them paying Evan Ingram, them upgrading the O line, I think don't get me wrong, I think ETN will be like solid, but I don't have him over those 7, 8 guys that we listed.
How about Kyron? Do you put Kyron above ETN? And what about Derrick Henry?
I put Kyron over ETN and Derrick Henry for sure.
Okay. And then Derrick
Yeah,
Henry or Travis Etienne? Who's on top?
I'm going ETN on that one. I'm going ETN on that one just
Okay.
because I feel like Lamar Jackson will eat some of his touches,
Or
like a
Derrick
lot of
Henry.
it,
Okay.
because
MFB,
he loves pulling that ball,
right?
loves pulling that ball.
MFB,
I
any?
think yeah. So to go back, I don't think I ranked the Taylor Gibbs Saquon thing.
Yeah.
If I had to put this in order, I'm probably doing Barkley, Taylor, and then Gibbs. Personally,
Okay.
Mm.
that's my outlook right now on it.
Yeah. And then
Um,
between these three right here, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, and Kyron.
Man, I mean, I don't want I don't want to get burned by ETN again. Um, Obviously, I believe in him for sure this year, right? Um,
Right, he proved
Thing is,
himself.
like Henry is in a better offense now, right? Like last year, he was in
The
like not
Titans
the
were,
best
yeah,
offense, right? Finished RB4 in regular season, right?
right,
Under ETN, right?
right,
That's kind of why this makes this decision tough. But like
yeah,
he massively upgraded his offense,
right.
right? And he's just like a monster. He's old. Don't get me wrong. He's unk,
Yeah, he's
like
28, 29. How old is
but
he
bro,
now?
like it, if I think like he makes me think of like Frank Gore, bro. Frank Gore was playing, putting up yards like
Nah, you
damn
can't
near
do Frank
homie
Gore,
was
bro.
like
Frank
35, you know?
Frank Gore like 5'8", bro.
Okay, sure, but I know, but
Yeah,
like still,
Derrick Henry's 30 years old as a
yeah,
running
I
back,
know,
and they
bro.
take a lot of hits as running
I know,
backs.
but he's still going, bro. You
I mean,
know,
he
Yeah,
is,
like
but I mean, I feel like the Baltimore Ravens running, like their backfield, like the running backs, always end up injured, like the last few years.
Yeah, but he's 6'3",
I
two
think those were
fifty,
more
bro.
the players than the system, though.
Yeah, I mean
Because
you could say
thinking of like
that.
J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, bro, like homies got injured every year,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
guess that's true. I
So
don't know.
I
Just
have
something
I
to
Yeah.
think
have it
about.
Henry.
If you were
Kyron's like,
someone
I don't know,
if you were
50-50 for
someone
me.
who, let's say you're in a 14-man league and you only have one IR spot. I know that we're in a league like that, MFB.
Yep.
Would you risk taking the more injury-prone player? Like, I mean, I think I would I would take Kyron over these two because Travis Etienne had ankle injuries last year, ankle issues. Derrick Henry's getting old. His body's just bound to start breaking down. I would take Kyron Williams over those two. I don't know what's your take
I
on that?
mean, so you would take Kyron over those two, you said?
Yeah,
Okay, well, interestingly enough, right, Kyron missed 5 games,
that's right.
right?
He was injured. That's
He
right.
was, right? Derrick Henry
Yeah.
missed 1, right? ETN missed a 0. So,
Yeah. He played a game. I think he was out early on in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Like I'd have to look
yeah,
back at
yeah,
that.
that might have happened like week 10
Yeah.
maybe.
And they do have that Tank Bigsby, right? In
Yeah, but they
Jacksonville.
never worked him in. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
I don't
very.
think he's getting that
I mean,
work.
just something. Yeah, just something to think about, so that people don't think that it's just a clear and cut. I mean, they
what
did
I would
draft him,
watch
so
out for is the rookie on the Rams now. That's who I would watch out for.
that's right. They did draft a running
They
back,
did,
right?
You
yes,
talking
yes.
Yeah.
about the dude out of Michigan? What's his
I'm not
name?
sure his school, but
What's his name again?
uh, I have to look it up.
I think the
Yeah,
Los Angeles Rams. Let me see if I can figure this
check that
out.
real
It
quick.
is
I think
Blake
about the
Corum. Blake Corum.
Blake Corum. Yeah, I
Blake
see it.
Corum out of Michigan. Yeah, yeah. I do not have that homie better than Kyron Williams. I'm so sorry. They're not working him in unless Kyron gets hurt or he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
I don't-
Okay.
I don't see that.
I mean, yeah, that's that take. Real quick, let's just go over some of these wide receivers, and then we can kind of call it for this episode.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
we kind of talked about Garrett Wilson. We
I
kind of
think
talked
we
about
left off on
Puka.
JJ.
We did, yeah. But just for the sake of time, I feel like we should kind of work, kind of just quickly rank these guys and where
Yeah.
you would put them.
Yep.
Um, AJ Brown, is he good where he is, or should he be above any of these guys?
I'd keep him.
Okay.
I'd keep him for sure.
Um, Now Garrett Wilson, above or below? Does he go above AJ Brown, or does he stay where he's at?
Mm. So I think for sake of drafting, you stay where he's at. But if you're a dude that likes to take a risk, I personally think he'll finish a little bit higher than AJ Brown because the Eagles did obviously get Saquon Barkley, so they upgraded with a massive weapon, and what you call it, and the Jets are getting their quarterback back. So and obviously Garrett Wilson was still putting up numbers with a whatever quarterback. So with adding in Aaron Rodgers, I think that connection will be really solid. Just a personal opinion. So if you're a risky dude, I think over AJ Brown for sure.
I risked last year and took Garrett Wilson, and man, that I got burned. So it's gonna be hard for me to do it. But no, I mean, sometimes you gotta take risks to win fantasy leagues. So maybe
So
this is a good idea. Puka, does he stay where he's at, or do you put him lower, higher?
what you thinking, MF?
I'm thinking. I mean, back to like, man, back to the whole JJ thing. It's just, I don't know if I trust any QB in Minnesota right now. Right? Like,
Right.
I'm more comfy with the Monroe or AJ Brown over
Over
Jettas.
JJ?
Over Jettas, right?
Oh wow.
And Jettas is a menace. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you
Hmm.
look at how he started last season, he was probably on track to be number one. All right.
Hmm. True.
Uh, that's how much of a menace he is. Um, as far as Garrett Wilson, I mean, he was supposed to be crazy last year. It just sucks what happened to Aaron Rodgers, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And he was still working his ass off every game,
Yeah,
grinding.
100%.
He's still young, still talented. So I would definitely be happy with Garrett Wilson. Between Garrett Wilson and AJ Brown, it's tough, bro.
Toss up, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
mean, you
tough.
can if you're in that
I'd be
position.
happy with
Yeah.
either. Maybe I'd hit Garrett Wilson. You know what I mean? Like
Just
just to see
Same.
what happens. You know
just
what I'm saying?
just see that connection with him
Um,
and Rogers this year, and if it
I
works
definitely
out.
have both of these over Puka, but I'm still like, more than happy with Puka, right? If we
Right.
move down to the next tier, right, where it gets to like Marvin, Olave, Devontae,
Yeah.
that's where things start to get a little bit murky. you know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask actually about Marvin Harrison. What do you guys think? And is he placed correctly? I'm a Cardinals fan, so I am willing to take a shot on any Cardinals player. But I mean, what are your guys' takes?
So, I mean, look, with Marvin Harrison, look, so I know a homie that knows a homie. He's pretty much best friends with one of the dudes on the team, and pretty much what they're like what my guy was telling me is that Marvin Harrison, like when you see him on film and then when you see that dude in person, he's like you can't really like he doesn't really live up to what he really is on film. But when you see him in person and you compare him to the film, he pretty much lives up to his film, like to the hype. That's what my friend was telling me. So pretty much Marvin Harrison is going to be the guy in the Cardinals. He is going to be the option in the Cardinals. So
Well,
I think Marvin Harrison's legit.
I mean that's why they drafted him, right? Of course, he's got to be their guy, right? They got rid of Hollywood Brown. They brought him in, but do you think that his position where he's being drafted above Devontae Adams, do you think that's appropriate, or do you think that's correct?
Um, I think it's correct. I'm a risk taker, so I think it's right. Yeah.
I mean, you're saying in a draft you would take Marvin Harrison over Devontae Adams, and you'd be happy with that. Like it's falling to you. You got Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, and Devontae Adams staring at you. Let's say let's say you were, I don't know, 10th pick, and you took Saquon or Jonathan Taylor Jr. So you have an RB. Now it comes back to you, and you have all three of these guys in your face. You're telling me you're taking Marvin Harrison over both these guys?
Yeah, I'm taking Harrison over both these guys, and I'll tell you why. Chris Olave, like with the Saints, like I'm a Saints fan myself. Over the years, we haven't been great. We haven't had the best QB. Ever since Drew Brees retired. Drew Brees, if you're watching this or listening to this, please come back. But but our quarterback, Chris Olave, like I think he's a phenomenal receiver. He just doesn't have the quarterback. That's why I would take Marvin Harrison because you got towards the end of the year when Kyler Murray got healthy in week 10 and 11, he was slinging that thing. They beat the number one seed
Yep.
Eagles. Like they were playing some tough football, and they had nothing to play for. They were one of the
It,
worst teams too.
well,
You know,
so I want to interject here. I think Kyler Murray had something to play for because there's been a lot of talk, or there seemed to be, there's a lot of rumors and talks about them replacing him. So I think he had something to play for. And so
that's true.
that combination with Marvin Harrison, I think, could be really special. And I do agree with you that I mean, I'm a Cardinals fan, so I will, gravitate towards this guy. But Chris Olave, yeah, I don't believe in Derek Carr, and he proved last year that he just isn't able to do anything. He's not able to like really. Um, he's not as good as we might have thought he was
Yeah,
um, from when he was on the Raiders and he had Devontae Adams.
yeah.
I
Uh,
think it's interesting this 15, 16, 17 because like all three of these guys insane talent, right?
right.
Hmm.
Devonte Adams like one of the best pure like receivers out there for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just like every situation of these guys like, well, damn, this is who's throwing to him, right? Or even like this is the
Exactly.
offense they're in, right? So like Kimo, you're a Cardinals fan, right? Why don't
Right.
you give me the other two receivers on Arizona?
Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch.
Okay, kind of
Hey,
close.
don't
But
forget
the third
Randall
is
Moore.
actually on the depth chart, Zay Jones, right?
Oh, that's
So,
right. They
so
did
Oh
pretty
bring him in,
much,
yeah,
huh?
right? Like, bruh, they're off. Like Arizona offense is kind of like, bruh, they're probably gonna double him, right? And have a safety shadow. You know what I mean? Like Marvin Harrison, bruh. And then what's Arizona gonna do? Just throw a check down to Trey McBride? Like, I don't know. I feel like the offense is too easy to scheme for in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
At some level, right? But then your other two options, like, well, I got Carr throwing and I got AOC or Minshew throwing. Um,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, these three are kind of a toss-up, and it kind of depends on what risk you're willing to take. Do you risk the rookie who's trying to make a name for himself in the
yeah.
NFL? Do you risk Derek Carr becoming better somehow, and
Also, I'm
then
trying to think of a rookie receiver that's like been drafted this high before. Because we see it with RBs a lot, but I haven't seen a rookie receiver like with this much
this
hype
this
ever.
for me
I don't
was
think.
even for me it's a bit high. Like I at this point, if I this was me, I might reach and grab Kyron Williams here instead of taking a wide receiver. Like I just don't think I feel comfortable taking a shot on one of these three. Now, if you know Marvin Harrison pops off or Adams just is Devonte Adams, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot. It's all about risk, you know. BBTV talked about you gotta take risks to get the win, which I agree with. But I will say that uh, if coming from like a just purely trying to draft the best team that is not gonna let you down, I really think that these three are hard to trust just because the offense. But in terms of safety, you probably take Devontae Adams number one out of those three. That's just, I mean, if you really
Mm,
think about it.
I don't know, man. That quarterback situation in Vegas is toss up, man. You got Gardner Minshew and
I
Aiden
mean,
O'Connell. I think
we saw Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew's in Vegas.
he's
Yeah.
in Vegas. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, honestly, he was throwing it over in where was he at last year? Colts.
Colts. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was. I mean, he was putting up some solid numbers, and with Devontae Adams catching the ball, I mean, I don't, I think that could be really good. But anyways, let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Ayuk, where do you guys put Ayuk? Do you like him here? Do you put Drake London above him? Let's ignore Josh Allen just because, and Jalen Hurts, just QBs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll leave Debo Samuel out of this one. But between Mike Evans, Drake London, and Brandon Ayuk, where do you guys rate these three? And do you like where they're at, or do you think they need to be moved?
Um, Honestly, I have Drake London over them. Shouts out Drake
Okay.
London. You know what I mean? But pretty much, I'd have Drake London over Ayuk and Mike Evans. I there's problems over there in San Francisco with the whole
Well, Ayuk requested
Ayuk
a trade,
thing.
so we don't even know where he's going right now, right?
But things like if he's requesting
I
a
think the
trade, we
odds is he's staying now, to be honest. But
Yeah.
that's last I checked.
but if you think about it though, if he requested a trade, there's obviously some kind of conflict and problem for like pretty much with that Niners organization, you know. So
Yeah, he probably is not a good pick on the team, especially if there's drama. It's like the situation with Jonathan Taylor, but worse because he requested I want to leave.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't.
So you put Ayuk on the bottom of these three. You take Mike Evans over Ayuk.
I would take Mike Evans over Ayuk. Yeah, I think
I
Baker
mean, so
Mayfield.
yeah, we're this is what today's the 23rd, well, technically the 24th, but it's, still late July. We haven't gotten to the preseason yet. There's still things that can change. So at the moment of this recording, we it's a really big toss up. So we just don't know what's the future holds, like what the future holds for Ayuk. So we can't make a judgment. So right now, if we were to draft for our leagues, this is how it would go. Obviously, all this is going to change as we get closer to the season. And as we get closer to the season, we can bring a lot of these players' rankings back up in another episode, and they'll be more accurately, you know, the player rankings will be more accurate as news unfolds and things occur. Um, MFB, where do you put between Ayuk, London,
I
and Mike
think
Evans?
I'm probably doing Ayuk, Evans, and then London.
Wow,
Really? Wow, almost the exact opposite, or
that's
not?
Yeah,
pretty
me,
Yeah,
me
opposite
and
right
very,
there.
BBTV
very
being very
pretty.
opposite today.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a pretty bold take compared
Yeah,
to
nothing
BBTV.
like. I mean, I had them all pretty close. I think London at the bottom just because like I don't really mess with the unknown factors.
I
Uh,
understand. So a more
you know,
conservative approach, kind of.
like a low key. Yeah, especially like at this range of the draft, I'm still like not trying to take heavy risk.
Yeah.
After
It,
this round, it's like yellow. Let's let shit start flying.
yeah,
Um,
you have like these other
but the
players down
first two,
here.
three picks, I kind of got to hit. You know.
Yeah, you want
Um,
someone that's gonna get
or I
you
need something
consistent
to hit,
fantasy points.
right? Um, just because
Yeah.
Atlanta's a very new offense this year, pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
new
new
coordinators, new
staff,
coach.
right? New
Yeah.
staff and a new quarterback. So that's very, very different than last year, right? Tampa Bay and Snyder is like the same, right? So
Right.
you kind of know what you're getting already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. Honestly, I think in my opinion, I might have because of as we get closer to the season, we see what unfolds with Ayuk. I think in this situation, man, I don't know. I like Drake London. I think he's gonna get open. I think I take him first. I think I put Mike Evans like Mr. Consistency right after him, and then I think I put Ayuk in the bottom just because right now it's very unknown. I don't like the fact that it feels like there's beef or there's something going on there, and who knows what unfolds as these next few weeks, like before the season starts. We don't want another Cam, excuse me, we don't want another Cam Akers situation with the Rams where everyone drafted Cam Akers fourth round and the Rams said, "Nah, we're not using him. He's up in the air. He's going to ride the bench until we can trade him." And so everyone then went scrambling for Kyron Williams because, we had no idea and we got, shot a lot of people in the foot last year. So I'm a little bit nervous about Brandon Ayuk for that. If everything clears up and he says, "Hey, I love Kyle Shanahan. We're gonna go out for drinks later," then yeah, I likely would put him. I think I'd put him on top of London. I might put London on top of Ayuk. I
Yeah.
like to take a little bit of risk.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Mike Evans is Mr. Consistent, so I think if you just don't know what to do, you're in a league with a bunch of guys that know what they're doing. You're new, you don't know what to do, you don't want to make a mistake. You can't go wrong with Mike Evans. I think he's just like I said, Mr. Consistent. He gets open, he gets catches, he gets the ball, he gets in the end zone. So that it's not a bad pick. But yeah, I think if you want to take a little risk, you go with Drake London. Ayuk is, going to be sharing the ball with Deebo Samuel, and a lot of the ball will go to McCaffrey, and it's a lot of shared um, points there. So, um, do you guys have any other comments or anything? We're just over the
I
hour mark
think
here.
just another Drake London point is like at this ADP, it's like okay, this is like fine, right?
Sure.
But like if it was like round three, mid round three ADP, it's like a smash. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I like
kind of how
that.
I look at it,
I'm.
right?
Yeah. I mean, because honestly, you got players down here like you got Jalen Waddle, right? You got Nico Collins, who's now sharing the
Because
ball
you
with
kind of want to
Diggs.
define like a value pick, right?
Yeah.
So just I don't want to get into it too deep. Like this is a whole nother discussion, right? But
Right.
so the question next to you, right? Like if you go back down to Nico, right? Since you just said his name,
Right.
like Nico versus Stefan, right? One
You're
of these
right.
is going to be the value pick at
Yeah.
this round,
Exactly.
right? Because if everybody knew, right? So like let's say next year they stay on the same team, right? Same offense. One of these guys is going to be round one or two pick after we know who's the guy, right?
Right.
But right now nobody knows. That's why they're both in the same range, right? Nico
Right.
and Stiggs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
In
I
fact,
promise you next year one of them is going in the top 12 after we know who it
Easily.
is, right?
Yeah.
So one
after
of
he gets
these is
confirmed.
the value pick,
Right.
right?
And I actually can't scroll any lower. This is the end of this,
Hmm.
but that Diggs right now is ranked at 45, and Nico Collins at 29. So
Hmm.
it, Diggs may be just a huge fantasy like steal, kind of like a value pick.
Yeah.
But we'll find out, once that we get into the season. And he could be just, not as valuable because of just, maybe Stroud really likes Nico Collins. And so he just gets him the ball and they have a connection. Um, anything else, BBTB or MFB about, these picks or anyone in the top 24 if you want to talk about some of these guys? Anything?
Nah, nah, nothing else from
No,
me.
not really.
That's it. All right, cool. Well, that just about wraps it up. Uh, that'll do it for today's episode for the Hoodnies podcast for fantasy football.
Yes,
And
sir.
I hope you guys take what we say and use the knowledge to the best of your abilities. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Peace, peace, peace.
Yep. Peace out.